What would you do if everything you knew, your town, your family, your entire way of life, was reduced to screaming, running, and hiding from creatures that saw you as nothing more than a resource? No, this isn't some far-off sci-fi fantasy. This is Occupation, a film where aliens don't come to study us. They come to enslave us. They drag people by their hair, experiment on our bodies, poison our water, and turn humans into cogs in an alien factory. And worst of all, humanity lets it happen, at first. That doesn't make your skin crawl. It should. Before we rip open the twisted underbelly of this alien nightmare, hit that subscribe button. Join our horrifying deep dives into movies, books, games, and shows where fear isn't optional. Hit the bell, or risk missing the next invasion. It all begins with something painfully ordinary. A family road trip through rural Australia. Blue skies, rolling hills, a quiet stop for gas. Nothing out of the ordinary. But that's the trick, isn't it? Horror thrives in normalcy. Because when things fall apart, it's always when you least expect it. Peter, the family patriarch, is a man trying to keep his fractured household in order. His stepdaughter Bella, distant. His son Samuel, wandering. His wife Jenny, hanging on by a thread. They're barely a family, more like strangers in a vehicle. And then it begins. A deafening screech rips through the airwaves. People double over in pain. It's not a signal, it's a warning. Moments later, the skies ignite with unnatural color. Stadium lights die. Screams erupt. Alien ships descend in a formation that says, "We've done this before." They're not here to negotiate. They're here to clean house. Streets are flooded with bodies. Civilians try to fight back, throwing bottles, wielding bats. But it's laughable. The aliens don't even flinch. Bullets ping off their armor like rain on steel. One scene burns into your mind. Humans being yanked off the ground by their hair and dragged away like tattle. Peter's family tries to regroup, but not all of them make it. People are forced to choose between saving their loved ones or saving themselves. It's chaos, and the moral fabric of society disintegrates in real time. Some escape, most don't. Those who do flee into the forests, like hunted animals. This isn't a resistance, not yet. This is survival. That's when they learn the terrible truth. The aliens aren't just here to conquer, they're here to stay. Massive factories rise where towns once stood. Human prisoners are fenced in behind searing laser gates. Others are packed into containers, like livestock. The goal isn't extermination, it's domestication. From there, the film becomes a war of attrition. Peter, Bella, and a handful of survivors hole up in an abandoned sawmill. Armed with scavenged alien weapons and sheer desperation, they begin to fight back. They learn to use the aliens' own technology. They kill and steal. They adapt. Not because they want to, but because they have no other option. The forest becomes their battlefield, their new home, their graveyard. Guerrilla tactics emerge. They discover that the alien helmets detect living creatures, but not if they're surrounded by plants. The forest becomes their camouflage, and death becomes their strategy. And this is no glorious uprising. It's dirty. It's primitive. Heads of dead aliens are mounted on spikes. Corpses hang from trees as warnings. It's not noble, it's necessary. The resistance grows, but so does the cost. 8 months in, the survivors have built a makeshift community. But it's not peace, it's pressure. Tension boils between generations, between grief and anger. Young fighters like Bella and Marcus are tired of being told to wait. They risk everything to capture an alien alive. Why? For hope? For revenge? Or because the line between us and them is getting thinner? And then the film shifts again, from survival to sacrifice. Vanessa, heavily pregnant, gives birth in the middle of an alien siege. Her cries echo through the woods like a war drum. Blood pools around her. She dies moments after her baby is born. And still, no time to mourn. The aliens are closing in. The camp burns. Friends die screaming. The resistance scatters. The final act is nothing short of a suicide mission. The group must attack a massive alien factory as a diversion for the military, but it's a trap. The aliens knew. The biological weapon they thought had moved to Sydney, it was never moved. It's still there, waiting to wipe out the resistance. And in the final, desperate moments, it comes down to Matt and Jackson. One lives, one dies, but the factory is destroyed, and with it, the tide begins to turn. When the smoke clears, Earth isn't saved. But for the first time in months, it's not completely lost either. There's something uniquely unsettling about the aliens in Occupation. Not because they're more powerful, or even because they're violent. It's because they don't hate us. They simply don't care. And that is where the horror truly begins. The aliens don't want our land. They don't want revenge. They want us, as a labor force, as biological material, as experimental data. People are herded into factories, tagged, sorted, and processed. There's no effort to communicate, no diplomatic gesture. From the aliens' perspective, humanity is a species to be managed. Think about that. Not feared, not negotiated with, just managed. This isn't war. It's a hostile acquisition. Humanity isn't the enemy. We're the resource. And when you're no longer seen as human, but as utility, you are no longer free. That's the existential nightmare Occupation throws at us. One of the most disturbing themes in Occupation is how quickly society collapses. We like to believe we'd stay noble under pressure, that we help our neighbors, that we'd come together. But when the sky falls and the streets burn, what really happens? We see people abandoning each other, betraying each other, killing to protect their own. Peter ignores a bleeding man banging on the RV window. Later, he beats an alien prisoner to death, not for defense, but for vengeance. And then there's the survivor, who tries to knock out a screaming woman in labor just to avoid detection. That's the world we fall back to, a primal, savage place where survival replaces morality. It's not the aliens who erase our humanity. We do it ourselves. Let's talk about the so-called resistance. Sure, it starts noble. Save who we can, fight the oppressors, reclaim our planet. But by the midpoint, that illusion shatters. Heads on spikes, bodies hanging from trees, teenagers dragging corpses through the bush. At what point do survivors become something else, something monstrous? The film asks a brutal question. Can you preserve your humanity while resisting inhumanity? And the answer might be no. Because eventually, the resistance looks less like a fight for freedom and more like a tribal blood feud. The humans don't just want to win. They want the aliens to fear them. The uncanny reflection of colonialism. This theme creeps in quietly, but once you see it, it's impossible to ignore. The aliens are colonizers, and the humans? They're indigenous populations being overrun. We see forced labor, cultural erasure, biological experimentation. It's not subtle. But the real punch is when one of the aliens, who speaks English, claims they've learned their lesson and don't want to destroy another world like they did their own. Too late. It's an unsettling echo of our own history when empires use the language of peace after generations of violence. The question the film dares to ask is, if we're so horrified by being colonized, why did we ever do it to others? The film doesn't celebrate the resilience of humanity. It questions it. How much of yourself can you kill before you're no longer human? This isn't a feel-good alien movie. This is a warning that our humanity is conditional, that survival might demand a higher cost than extinction, that if they come, if they really come, the war won't be fought in the skies. It will be fought inside us. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because this channel digs deep into the stories that haunt us and force us to stare into the dark parts of ourselves. Drop a comment with your thoughts. Until then, stay paranoid, because the horror is never over.